Year 9. Just a quick video on two of the things that we did this week. One was simplifying surds. So I'm going to have a go at these. Remember, we did the two last columns of every question, so I'm going to have a go at the last column of these questions, and you can have a go at the second last column. So I'm just going to do 3, 4, 5. They're pretty easy. So remember that when we want to do operations with surds, we've got to make them in their simplest form, similar to fractions. And remember, this is our rule that we're using. So if we have root AB, we can write that as root A times root B. And that's the rule we're going to be using. So let's have a look at these. We'll take the first one, root 20. Well, I know that's the same as root 4, root 5. Now, I should have mentioned, remember we're looking for square numbers, and our square numbers, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 36 is 6 squared, 49 is 7 squared, 64 is 8, 81 is 9, 10 squared is 100, 121 is 11, 144 is 12, and I'm just going to stop there. So we're looking for a square number that can multiply into our number here, and we know that 4 goes into 20. 4 is a square number, and we're away because the square root of 4 is 2, and I can write that as 2 root 5. So I've simplified root 20, and I've written it as root 4 times root 5, square root of 4, 2 root 5. Let's take root 32, which is the next one. And I know that 16 goes into that, and I know 16 is a square number, so it's root 16 times root 2, which will give me 4 root 2. So you can see it's pretty easy once you know your square numbers. Let's have a look at root 50, the next one, root 50. Well, I know 25 goes into 50, so root 25 times root 2, which gives me 5 root 2. And you can see what's happening here. We're breaking down these bigger square numbers, surds, into smaller surds with an integer out the front. Let's look at the number. Next one, root 72. Well, I know 36 and 2. 2 36s are 72, and the square root of 36 is 6. So I get 6 root 2. The next one, root 90. Now all the other ones have been pretty big ones, like 25 and 36. Sometimes you mightn't see it. Well, I know 9 goes in 9 tens, and you can do it in 2 parts, but I think this is going to be it. Root 9, root 10. I don't think I can break root 10 down anymore, which gives me 3 root 10. Now, root 200, the last one. Well, 100 goes into 200, and 100's a square number. 100 root 2, which gives me 10 root 2. So they were pretty easy. Remember, sometimes you might not be able to break them down straight away. There might be more numbers. I'm going to do one over here and have a look at this one. I'm going to do it in bits. So root 84. So root 84. Now, let's say you couldn't think of a number that goes into 84 really easily. So you say, all right, well, I'll just do 4 first. I'll take out nice easy 4. And 4 goes into, do a bit of long division, 4 goes into 8 twice. 21. Actually, that's it. I thought that might be one that might be a bit easier. Actually, I'll finish that. That's 2 root 21. Nothing else goes in 21. But I'll do root 48. Now let's say, now I know that 16 goes into 48 3 times, but let's say I didn't know that. You might not know your 16 times tables. So you'll go, all right, well, I'll do the root 4 first. And root 4 goes into 4 goes into 48 once, 12 times. And you go, all right, well, that's 2 root 12. But I know that 4 also goes into 12. So I can break down 12 as 4 and 3, which give me 2. Now, I've got to be careful here. That's 2 times 2, root 3. Remember, the 4 comes at the root of 4 is 2. And that gives me 2 times 2, 4 root 3. Which if I'd done it originally, if I'd done it using the root 48, and I'd gone, 16 times 3, I would have got 4 root 3, which is the same. So you can do it bit by bit if you don't know straight away. And also, you're allowed to use your calculator. You can check with your calculator by doing the division. Remember, you're looking for these square numbers. Okay, so let's have a look at these next ones in question 5. These next ones here. Question 5, question 4. Well, we've got 4 root 28. We've got to simplify 4 root 28. Well, 4. Now, root 28, I know 4 goes into it. So root 4 times root 7. And I'm going to get 4. Now, I've got to be very careful here. Please do not forget that there is a multiplication sign between that 4 and that root 4. I'm going to get 4 times 2 root 7. Please don't call it 42 root 2. 2 times 4 is 8 root 2. And that's question 4. I'm just checking to make sure I've got the right answers because I've got the answers on the other computer. Question 4D, 8 root 2. 8 root 7, I changed this. Silly. And that, I changed that. Shouldn't have changed that. There we go. That was silly of me. All right, so let's go to the next one. 3 root 63. So 3 root 63. Well, I get 3, I get 9, and again 7. I won't change it this time. 3 times 3 root 7, and I get 9 root 7. What's that? 4h and 9 root 7. And the last one, 5 root 300. 5 root 300. Love it when we get 100 because we can just take the 100 out and we'll get root 3. That will give us 5. The square root of 100 is 10. Root 3. 5 times 10, 50 root 3. And remember, you can check on your calculator, even though I'm checking with the solutions here. You can check on your calculator. You can type in 5 root 100 and you can type in 50 root 3 and see if you get the same answer. D in the next set, in these ones, so doing these ones now, DHI, got to write it in its simplest form. So root 242. So I'm going to pull my calculator out for this one because I don't know what goes into 242, but remember I'm looking for square numbers. I could do 4. No, 4. I don't even think 4 will go into it. 120. There we go. 121. 121 goes into it. Lucky I know my square numbers. 121 is 11, so root 121, and there's 2 of those. 2 times 121. That gives me 11 root 2. That was a hard one. What's the next one? Root 396. Root 396. What do you reckon? Let's have a go. 396. We'll try 396. We'll try 81. So 396 divided by 81. That's no good. 64. 396 divided by 64. That's no good. it's going to be 6. Let's try 36. 396 divided by 36, 11. So 396 is 36 times 11. So as you can see, I had to use my calculator for those ones. If you don't see it straight away, you can just play with the square numbers. You can see how I started up high because I was looking for a high one and then went down. Anyway, that gives me 6 root 11. And I'm just checking these are question 5, and we got 5H. Remember, you can check it on by just typing the numbers into your calculator, but I've got these in front of me. 4, 5, EFGH, 6 root 11. The last one, 720. I know that 36 goes into 720, so I can break it down. And I know that 36 times 20. I know there's going to be a bigger one than that because I know I can break down 4 out of that. I'm pretty sure. So 720 divided by 36, just checking. Yep, that's right. So I'm going to get 6 root 20. And as I said, you can break it down in parts. So I know that 20 is the same as root 4 times root 5. So 6 times 2 root 5, which will give me 12 root 5. And if I'd been smart, I would have known that 144, because that's what 12 squared is, goes into 720. And just checking that, what's at question 5L? That should be 12 root 5. We can do the same thing by putting them back. Let's have a look at these other ones. We'll put them back in. I won't do a lot of these, and that's these questions here, and I'll do them just underneath here. So 3 root 3, I can put it back. 3 root 3, well, if I square the 3 and root it, that's 9. I know that's square. Root 3, and 9 times 3 is root 27. So you can take it out, you can put it in. Let's do the next one. 4 root 3. 4 root 3. Well, 4 squared is 16, so square root of 16 times root 3, and 3 16s are 48. 2 root 14. 2 root 14. Well, 2 squared is 4, so it's root 4 times root 14. 4 4s, 16, carry the 1, 56, root 56. Just better check that one. I did that really quickly. 6L. 6L root 56. 5 root 3. And 5 is 25 when I square it and root it, and root 3. And 3 25s are root 75. I'm going to leave the last one for you because I want to move on. We didn't do, I wasn't much fussed about question 7. I do want to have a look at question 8. Some of these are quite tricky. So we just learnt, we just went through, if we do this, if we've got the root of 25, well, that's the same as the root of 5 squared. Well, that's just 5. So if we're finding the square, and we could know that from our power of a power law. What's this? Because remember that a root, or the radical sign, tells us, well, we've got 5 to the power of 2, and if we're finding the square root of that, it's to the power of a half. And when I multiply those, 2 times a half, that'll give me 5 to the 1, which is just 5. Well, let's replace that number 5 with a pronumeral. So let's look at question C, because you're only meant to do the last columns, and I've got root a cubed. Well, that's the same as root a squared times root a to the 1. And the square root of a squared is a root a. So I can take them out as I take them out in squares. Let's have a look at D. D. root a to the 5. Well, that's the same as root a squared times root a squared times root a. Note I'm taking out powers of 2 because I know that the square root of a squared number is just the number itself. A times root a, which will give me a squared root a. So some of these are getting a bit difficult. I'm going to let you do some of these. So I'm going to do 2 more. So I'll do it from the last column. I'll do L, which is root a to the 9, b to the 7. So let's get that's root a to the 9 times root b to the 7. I can split them, and now I can just deal with the a to the 9. Well, the a to the 9, well, we'll divide it up into 2's. 2, 2, 2, and a 1. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. There's my a's done. Let's rack up the b to the 7. We'll take b to the 2, b to the 2, b to the 2, and b to the 1. So there's my b to the 7. Well, that becomes a, root a times b, root b, which is a to the 4 root a times b cubed root b. And I can put all that together. I don't know how the answers put this. What are we talking about? 8. This is 8. L. 8L. Yeah, they put it the way I'm about to do it. A4 b cubed root a root b. I could leave the root a and b inside. Is that what they did? Yes, they did. So leave that as 1/3 a4 b cubed ab. Now you could, if you're good at indices, think about it this way. Let's think about it as an index. That's a, b. Oh, you silly. That's a to the 9, b to the 7. And I could go, all right, all raised to the power of a half, because we're finding the square root of both those. Well, remember our multiplying principle, that'll give us a to the 9 over 2, b to the 7 over 2. Oh, that's a to the 4 and a half, and b to the 3 and a half. Oh, so that's the same as a to the 4 times a to the half, and b to the 3 times b to the half. Oh, well, that's a4 root a times b cubed root b. So you could have done it with index laws as well. I'll just tidy that up. A to the 4 b cubed root ab, which is what we got doing it the other way. So either way is just as good. So if you can do those, that'll be fantastic. If you're having trouble, remember we're looking for, when we do it with numbers, square numbers that multiply into the surd or the number in the surd, and taking that out and simplifying it. Good luck.